So I'm going to get a recording going here. And yeah, welcome. Thank you guys for hanging out. Figured might as well get ready for the week. We've got some time. Market's closed, quiet. And so going to kind of walk through the things that I'm looking for in the chart, kind of how I have my chart set up, and then how we can kind of use how I usually use Flow to go back and maybe look for setups, some of the scans that I use, just kind of the idea behind some of the inside bars. So let's get it going here. Why don't we start and we can just kind of look at where the SPY is and kind of the setup here. What's up, AMD? Yeah, for sure. Glad to have you. Welcome. So we'll just start out with clean SPY chart and kind of see what we're looking at as we come into this new week. Let's see. So one of the things that I was looking at, kind of like to look for these measured moves and using fibs. So, you know, the last really nice kind of, you guys can't hear me? Anybody else? Let's check.
Check,
Check,
check.
check. Okay, maybe it's you over there, full moon. Double check your stuff. Oh, hey, what's up, Mel? All right. Yeah. So let me know. It sounds like other people are connected on full moon. And let's see. All right. Yeah, this should be all recorded too, so we'll have audio over there. Okay, so taking a look at the SPY. So what I've been kind of focusing on looking for these measure moves is kind of this last run. And what I'd like to do is, what I'm be looking for is a big trend line break, a significant trend line break in an uptrend, which, we kind of had this kind of thing here. And when we finally broke it, what I would be looking for was, we got throw fibs on here and of this bull leg, and we came right back to the 618 retracement. All right, nice. We got full moon back. Okay, cool. So, um, so you know that we've been on this massive bull run. Everything's looking great, but then I felt like last week we started to kind of see some potential that things could get a little bit slippery to the downside, and that was based on data points. So we're waiting, macro. We had what let's see. So I like to use this site here, Market Watch, for tracking kind of macro events, and then I also use the Forex Factory. Um, but and then I post this all on my Twitter as well. So if you're ever like, oh, I wonder what the macros were, so I'll just go back and find the post from last week, getting ready for this week, and just kind of go through. So yeah, we had the macro kind of factors where we started to see a little bit of cracks in the bull armor. We had that CPI, and then Friday was PPI, and those were kind of the red days. So it's like, we've had this kind of feeling where all you have to do is just buy and wait for things to move up. So it's like, the sellers are out there. It's just going to kind of be, where do we see that break? And the main thing I'll be looking for is like, do we get this trend line to break? And then if we take this similar idea, if we're going to have some kind of correction here, there's a possibility that if we had to pull back and do a 618 retracement, that's 60 points down. How to watch the screen share? There should be an icon next to my Discord name, and then a little button that says live or something like that. So check for that. You should be able to grab it. Let me know if you need more help out there. But yeah, so Um, Kind of what I would be focusing on is, do we break this big trend line to the downside on the daily? Other than that, it's like, things looking like all systems go in terms of, can we just kind of keep grinding? You know, we talked a little bit last week about, like, if you're, you know, the swinging shorts. The good one was one that Charlie caught based on flow into CPI. That was a great short. And then yesterday or Friday, I guess it was, that they gave a good intraday short. So in a minute here, I would want to kind of dive into that chart, how you could have possibly, what were the signals? I wasn't trading that day; I was out. So, what could have got you in to a short on on whatever SPY, Nasdaq, whatever you're trading yesterday. So why don't we, since we're talking about it, let's get in there now. Nice, trading options, cool. All right, so this is kind of how I've been liking to have my intraday chart set up. So what I've got here is, I keep it fairly simple. I've been liking the Bollinger Band with a 20 EMA in the middle there. Yeah, let's check out that weekly candle there on the SPX and the SPY in a minute there. But so this kind of, so for anyone not familiar with my trading style, I'm all looking for scalps and very short-term trading. And so that's why I kind of am mostly just focused on a 5 minute chart. Personally, I don't really watch anything less than a 5 minute chart. And that was kind of a lesson I got from Al Brooks and Trader Tom. Basically, what they kind of had found was that watching anything less than a 5 minute chart, you're going to see way more potential setups and signal candles. Yeah, Trader Tom's great. Um, so it's like, if you're on a shorter time frame chart, there's more noise. You might be seeing more setups than are actually tradable, and can lead to over trading. And so I'm like, all right, well, these guys put in, 30, 50 years of work learning about this, gonna take kind of their advice. And Al Brooks is all about this 20 moving average, which is the green line in here. And then I've kind of like the Bollinger Bands, just to give me an idea when a move might become kind of overdone. But then the next thing, and you guys may have started to notice, I mentioned these on voice, um, is Al Brooks looking for 5 minute candles that close with almost no wick, and in either direction, those become kind of signal bars. So, for example, say we're thinking, okay, I want to see what could have got me in short for the good short on the SPY Friday. So let's see, we opened, this was the first candle. So, obviously the open can be risky and stuff, but here you have one of these candles, 5 minute candle closing on its low, 5 minute candle closing on its low. So Al Brooks is thinking those are short entries, at least for a scalp. And then when you see something like this, 5 minute candle closing on its high, this would, no selling wick at all, no shadow, whatever you want to call it, that would be kind of your bull signal. So, and that's kind of where the I like to have the Bollinger Bands in play, because it's like, you can see once things start to get compressed on the Bollinger Bands, you might get some kind of chop sideways action. And then again here, it's like you get candles closing on their low, short scalps, and then back on their high for the long signals. That's kind of how I'm looking for scalps, is, along with chart patterns, and then just looking for those Al Brooks type signals, where it's like, okay, so this is into the EMA. We popped, held, closed the green candle on its high, possible scalp for the long side. So that's kind of like where, with my intraday chart. And then we can also kind of look at some of these other indicators as well. But just for on the chart, this is pretty much how I keep it, just so I can kind of clearly see the candles playing out, and just kind of look for those setups there. But let's see what else we want to get into this for coming into this next week. Let's see, we're going to take a look. Let's check out that weekly candle. So let's see. Yeah, so trading options as a good eye, we could call this maybe some kind of like doji, possibly. Yeah, let's see. This looks like doji candles. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it could be one of those hanging man that you mentioned. Um, so just a doji candle, which is meaning small body, longer wicks, um, and yeah, it looks, yeah, you could maybe call it one of those right up there. This kind of thing. That's a good eye. So, I mean, yeah, we got to kind of see what we have in the flow and what we have coming into this week for macro. So I like this, mentioned this Forex Factory site for kind of keeping an eye on the macro events. So we've got, let's see, I think the big ones, we've got FOMC and then NVIDIA earnings coming up on Wednesday. So that's going to be big. And then we've got, what else we have? PMI Thursday, right after the open. And then Friday's pretty quiet. We also have the other one that's been really important lately. I like this one, investing.com, their calendar. We have bond auctions coming up, and those have been really impactful. Let's see what we got this week on deck. Yeah, so we've got 52-week bill auction, 3 and 6 month. That's on, what day is that? Tuesday. And then I think we have something 30-year mortgage rate that should be important. And then the 20-year bond auction on Wednesday. So that's going to be a big one. That's been getting a lot of reactions. So between, I don't know what would actually take for things to start to roll over a bit, but we've got some possible catalysts. We've got NVIDIA earnings. Everyone's waiting on that. And then FOMC minutes all on the same day. But, for now, trend is up. I'd be waiting on this trend line before, we're looking for kind of those short setups, those ideas there. But so let's see, we've got kind of the idea behind some of the chart setup. Let's do the next piece, which would be kind of looking for how to build a trade idea based on some of these scanners. Let's see. So here I've got my prep post moving into this next week and checking out the weekly inside bar scanners. So if for anyone who's not familiar already, basically weekly inside bar just meaning that this week's price action was kind of compressed within the prior week, meaning just a bigger battle between buyers and sellers, and meaning, and if we break outside that range, someone's going to be caught on the wrong side, potentially creating like a stop loss run. So basically, Microsoft this past week, this hit the scanner because this week's price action fit within the prior week. So we have an alert set that would pop in the room when Microsoft breaks below last week's low. And again, that could be potentially stopping out any bull who bought last week. If we lose that, they're going to be red on their trade. So that's kind of, that's where it hits the scanner and then give me the idea of a possible trade idea. The next step that I would kind of, so I throw the alerts, we'll get those that pop in the room. The next piece is so again, personally, I'm looking for shorter term trades. I'm scalping. So I start to drill down and see if, where do I see a possible chart pattern. So taking a look further at Microsoft, we had this little gap down on CPI. The other thing that this kind of starts to look like maybe even head and shoulders type of thing. We've got left shoulder head, maybe right shoulder down here. I think it looked a little bit cleaner on the 4 hour. Yeah. So we've got, so you can kind of, there's like this drawing tool here. So possible head and shoulders here on Microsoft. So this is, and so it's like we're already kind of slipping that low. So that's, I mean, with the way Microsoft's weighted in some of these tech ETFs, it's like if we get this type of break, I'm just going to be kind of a little bit more cautious this moving into this next week versus some of these past few weeks. So it was just like close your eyes, buy, and it's going to be looking good. Um, the next thing, so this is kind of just going based on technicals, looking for the chart setup. The next piece I would start to add would then be those fibs, and I'm looking to just capture a recent leg. So in this case, I probably start. This looks like an important spot. We had a lot of consolidation right in through there. Um, get the magnet so we can try and get these. So drawing, this consolidation range this high. If you were a bull looking for, when would be your pullback to add, you're looking at possibly the 618 retracement 786, which is all the way, that'd be a 20 plus point down move before, these any algos that we're buying in here would be thinking, okay, I got my retracement, I can look to add. So that's kind of what I'd be thinking, kind of the mindset on Microsoft. The next piece, then, if I was building a trade idea, would be to come over to Black Box. But when it comes to like Microsoft, there's so much back and forth and there's dark pools, there's flow. I think maybe we'd be better off picking an example of a ticker that be less so, less action. I think TSM is interesting. So why don't we set up we can go through kind of how we would look at the chart, and then how we can, look through black box data, maybe get a trade idea going here on TSM. Let's see. So I've got some old dark pool levels here. We've got the alert set because this was a weekly inside bar. This, when I saw this, on looking back, it's like, what a beautiful weekly double bottom right off of that dark pool from back in January. They also got some help from a positive gap up on earnings, but you can see, I mean, earnings on the 18th and the big fat dark pool came in on the 12th. So it's like, we always say someone always knows something, but let's see. So let's kind of look through here. We can get ready on the TSM chart to kind of get this setup going. I mean, at first glance here, it's like you could kind of call this one of these descending triangle type setups. You got this downtrend line, but rather than a falling wedge, you'd be seeing like lower lows all the way down. You've got kind of like these equal lows down here. Let's take a look as a comparison. And this one's kind of more neutral too. So it's like you've got this example where it's like we're following the downtrend with equal lows. Let's see. So that kind of thing, potentially. Following the down, you got your downtrend line, and then you've got the equal lows. But then this one also can be a breakout to the upside. So it's like this is kind of more of a neutral pattern, those descending setups when there's equal lows. But we've got our weekly inside bar level that we'll get if that pops in the room, triggering a possible short idea. Or if we can potentially be popping this trend line to the upside. And then we've got the top of our weekly inside bar alert set here. So the next step then would be adding in, the black box data. So for me, this is I haven't adjusted any filters or anything yet. So what I would be starting with would be, again, I'm a scalper, so you're gonna kind of want to use the data to match the time frame of your trade idea. But if I'm, doing the weekend review and I want to get set up for a trade idea, I'm going back a few weeks. Maybe I'll do like the full month, or if it's the beginning of a month, I'll do the last couple of weeks of a prior month. So we'll get this historical flow, and then we'll get the historical on the alert stream, so we can kind of check out dark pools and whatnot. And then we'll just drill down and we'll focus on TSM and see what we can find. Let's see. So let's see. We had on the 12th, that would be interesting to check. And then we had phantoms from the 15th coming in below. Let's see if we can find these. So TSM's, was one of the ones I chose because this screen is only going to give us so much data before we'd need to download and kind of analyze the info that way. But TSM, doesn't get so much flow that we're not going to be able to kind of sift through it a little bit here. Let's see. So this was the 160 calls that alerted for March. Let's see if we can see these. I haven't seen them yet. March 15th, 160s. And just looking at for anything else interesting, we've got this week's expiration. Those are looking okay. Contract price went down. Not really what we would want to see there. Let's see what else we've got. Anything else good? These are looking pretty good. Contract price kind of flat. They were trying to buy it on the way up, and then maybe they took some losses here on the 14th. Let's see those. So yeah, this could be a good one to keep an eye on. These, not crazy about how they started on the bid right there, right off the bat. Let's see what else we've got. Let's see, we got those phantoms. Beginning of the month, we had large bullish May 140s. Okay, nice. Yeah, so I guess the next step would be, if you really wanted to drill down further, you could download this and then kind of go through it that way. I mean, let's see. So, with that kind of in mind, Anki, that looking out to May, and then you've got March. Let's see, some bulls on out to March. So it's like, yeah, this is. Did we take a look at this one already? Yeah, so a couple little sweepers, and I mean we're looking through this live in the room, but this is kind of if I was getting ready for like a longer, some kind of trade idea over here on TSM, this would be some of the stuff that I'd be looking for, just like repeat lines, take drilling down and then combining that with the dark pool. Not a ton of dark pool looking like here on TSM, but hit the weekly inside bar scanner, got a fairly clear chart pattern looking like this descending triangle type setup. The next, I probably would have an alert set here on this trend line too. Let's see. And then we could get our fibs going. So similar to the way that we did Microsoft. Let's see. I want to catch like a good, this kind of good move, bull move up. Probably start back here. So this kind of thing. Got the magnet piece on. For anyone that is kind of not hasn't done as much with fibs, we can drop these settings here. So I have kind of my own usual, and then added a couple like the usual, 786, 618 retracement, and then added a couple. So some of these negative ones and past, like the 1.41, is basically just projecting further out past like the standard, the usual ones you would see, 236, 382, 0.5, 618, 786, and then it's like I use some of these negative numbers to kind of keep projecting further. Those have been helpful on a name like Nvidia when we're getting into post split uncharted territory. You can get some kind of ideas for projections further out. So that's kind of the idea there, and I got those posted in the room for anyone who wanted to kind of take a closer look at those. But yeah, I mean, specifically in terms of TSM, I think we've got to get through Nvidia earnings this week, but it's like if we look back, going strict, we wouldn't strictly go based on alerts ever, but when you start to see, it's like bulls out to May, bulls out to March. This guy went bearish out to 2025 and September. So it seems like, all of these shorter term, really bullish lines that we saw rolling in, it's like, the flow is there for them looking for a move up. Semi's been kind of hot sector area lately, but then we got to wait on Nvidia. So kind of the way that I would be looking through to set up the chart, go through the flow. Let's see if we have any other good ones. I don't know if you guys out there that are listening had specific tickers that you wanted to look at. Let's see. I know an example. This was hit the scanner. It's actually multiple weeks inside weeks, but personally, I'm not crazy about trading Boeing. It's just one. It's like the news lately has just been really not a good look. Planes with doors flying off and all these extra inspections and stuff. But we have alerts set on Boeing just because we've got, you got one, two, now three inside weeks. So this one's getting very compressed. But what also stood out to me when I was kind of looking through this chart over the weekend is like you can have this whole thing. It's like all of this right here. If you're an options trader, it's like this is just going to wreck you, unless you caught a nice scalp on a green um, move up. But like, this is just going to theta you. Puts on Boeing, yeah. I mean, it's like the news has been so bad surrounding it, and then you've got clearly, this is a key level going all the way back through all of this price action here. It's like, yeah, you could get potentially have a nice move down if we lose. If this gives out, uh, you got potentially room down to this level here, or further lower. Let's see what these fibs look like on Boeing. Yeah, so from this low to this high and selling, the bulls haven't even gotten their retracement to the 618 yet, which would be down, closer to this 172.05 area on the weekly. But we have alerts going, but I mean, and this is one kind of where one thing that I've learned from Mel is like, so Mel will see something like this and be thinking, oh, this is something I'm going to be keeping an eye on because it's getting very compressed, and could be ready for the next big move, which, that was kind of like a good lesson that I picked up because I would be looking for, I want to see something that's like running. I want to see the momentum, but it's like, it takes this kind of compression to get the big move. And then Boeing, of course, aside, you get the news and the headlines and stuff. But that was kind of like I would learn that from Mel here. Mel looking at like, what was it, like sell H or something, and you know looking at this like really nice compression on the daily, getting ready for a really good move. So I think it's like, taking those bits and pieces and kind of putting the puzzle pieces together there. Because for me, I would be first thinking, like, I don't know what to do with this if we're just going sideways. But, kind of flipping it and just being like, okay, well, I'm going to set an alert and see where, when do we get that break out of the range for the next good move. Um, let's see. So I know there was another one with multiple inside weeks was going to be Starbucks. Let's see. Yeah, so you had uh, they had earnings, which they had a positive reaction to the earnings, and then they sold it all the way back down. So this is another one that's like it's getting very compressed here. We have now two inside weeks. We're gonna get alerts that will pop in our Discord room there if we were to break. And then let's see. Starbucks also has been pretty good for dark pool lately, if I remember right. So let's check that out. This is a popular area. And if you guys have tickers that you were thinking of picking out a trade on, please drop them in the chat and we can take a look through them. Let's see. All right, so this is this month worth of dark pool here on Starbucks. Looks like you got this 94, right around 94, has a decent amount of money. That's a good one, 17% at 96 flat. So let's take a look at that. So you've got money sitting up here at 96. And then again at 94. Let's see. So, I mean, yeah, the way that they, the earnings got that gap up and then they sold it right back. To me that looks a little bit suspicious on Starbucks. I think the other good one would be to see if we got any flow that can help give us some direction. We got these arbitrage guys, can't really do much with that. Let's see what else we've got. These aren't bad, not a lot of money on them, but this week's 94s, be interested to see if we get some action this next week on those. What else we have? They went out to 2026 on some 95s and some 100s. That's interesting. Looking for leaps on Starbucks. Hmm. Maybe they took some off the table here, bought some puts for April, and then locked some in potentially. Some profits there. Let's see what else we got. This is kind of just this is what when I'm going through those scans and then trying to find out, where we might see trade ideas. This is kind of my whole process. Really, is just like, see what's compressing, go back through black box. Yeah, full moon. I mean, let's see. Yeah, just the way that they bought up that earnings and then dropped it is a little bit suspicious. Yeah, Boz, let's check out Square. That sounds like a good one. Yeah, I mean, we'll get the alert that pops here in the room on Starbucks. Pretty compressed. It had everything, kind of coiling up into the earnings. They pop and drop it. It just looks a little bit sketchy to me. We'll see. I think if we went back even further, there's a lot of dark pools. That might be, another a task for when we're not kind of going through tickers live here. But let's see what we got. Let's take a look at Square for Boz. All right. So yes, the thing Square is you got to get through this earnings coming up here. Um, I mean, you've got this whole the PayPal thing is like, yeah, PayPal's ready to shock the world, and then didn't really have much going on with it, right? But you've got a good little range here. I mean, just taking a look without adding anything, I'd probably be setting an alert on like this level here. See if we lose this 64.8, and then you could set an alert above at basically like 70. Those I like to look for those like round number psychological levels. But I mean, you could see this range that we're kind of built out. So this kind of goes back to what we were looking at Cell H. It's like, yeah, I think, we're getting ready for a move. It's just, waiting on this range to break. Um, let's see if we get the fibs going here. Go low to high based on the move. So that's interesting too, is that, without, uh, without even these were just kind of eyeing out these levels, and we're pretty close to some key fibs, just taking that range. Let's see what else we got. I mean, if I was going to do trend lines, I think it would look kind of bearish as well, like kind of like bear pennant after we sold off the top. Let's see. This one actually could be kind of like a good example of, let's see, almost kind of looks like an ascending triangle. Let's see. The only thing I guess would be that we weren't, we sold off down to get into this setup. So that would be the only thing I would be thinking, okay, maybe from a technical aspect, it wouldn't fit that definition. AJ is going to be taking a look at UPS. Let's check out what we've got on Square. I mean, again, you got to be cautious thinking, everyone's getting ready, positioning for this earnings. Let's see. And Square, when they want to, Square, I feel like is one where you kind of can start to get a hint that somebody's thinking it's time for a trade based on dark pool. Let's see. So this is pretty quiet. Let's see if we can go back further. Let's give it some more time on Square. Go back a little bit further through these dark pools. Just looking for, let's see, yes, only 1%. This 68, 67 area looks pretty good for dark pool. Keep going, keep going. Some insider buys back in November. So there's a good one back in the 49.90 area. So let's take a look at that one. Where was this? 40. Yeah, it's 49.90. So it's like there, and they were hitting that on what day? November 3rd. So this guy right there. I mean, yeah, we don't know if it's a buy or a sell, but I mean, either that guy was had a really great couple months or was punching holes in his wall. But you know, you can see that the big once the big dark pool came in, it was time for a move. So it's like if we were, you know, if we were focusing on square back, you know, when that 49.90, that was like 7%. So basically, you know, I would have seen that dark pool come in back on November 3rd, right there, yeah, November 3rd, and then just be kind of watching. It's like, let's see, let's take a look at that. Now we're going way back. There we go. So let's see, November 3rd, right here. To be watching, and then once we pop it, it was just so that's where it's like you kind of got to give it some time to see it bounce around there a little bit. Um, because yeah, if you just went based off that, you know, I guess this was a Friday, and then on the Monday, it went right up, wick down, and then once it popped it, it was just full bull run from there on Square. Let's see if we have anything else interesting. Yeah, so you got to just kind of wait on that ER, I would imagine, on Square. I think, did Square hit the scanner? Square was on the scanner last week, but I don't think I set an alert. When I see that the earnings is coming right up, I usually won't set alerts on it. Uh, let's see. All right, AJ one. Let's see. Was there any interesting flow on Square just before we get off Square? Let's check. Yeah, CLSK. We should definitely look at that over trade. Let's see. Hmm. I wonder if that guy. Yeah. So we got one starting on the bid, flipping over to the ask, and contract price moving up. Those don't look too bad, but I wouldn't really be messing with it into earnings. I think that'll be the important thing to see how that all plays out. How has Square been reacting to earnings? Good pop, big drop, flat. Huh. Yeah. I mean, I would be looking setting alerts on these levels. Let's check out some of these other. Let's see what UPS. Interesting. You got this daily gap right there on the last. There was something about how Amazon shipping had surpassed UPS and FedEx, which is kind of wild. Um, let's see. So is this one? Didn't hit the scanner because we just barely crossed the prior week's high. Let's see. I mean, this looks like a pretty strong downtrend zooming out here. Gap fill MACD. Let's see. Yeah, let's throw some of these. We can throw some of the oscillators on there as well. Let's look. So I'll throw the. I like to use these as well for kind of momentum. Um, so here I've got. This is kind of my favorite one is CCI. This is the one I'll use, which is similar to the RSI. Let's take a look at it real quick. Commodity channel momentum based. Let's look. So we got the 20 moving average as well. Let's see. Yeah, so similar, you're using it for overbought, oversold. But we can kind of see it as an example on the chart. For me, the reason I like it, so this one above is RSI. Uh, for whatever reason, the CCI kind of it makes bigger moves, and it'll kind of have like it's almost like spikier versus like a rounded top here on the RSI. It's kind of like a little bit more jumpy. Um, but what I'm looking for is those divergences like so here this low on the daily, RSI making a higher low there for UPS, which is interesting. The CCI made a lower one back there, but yeah, I mean you got some kind of at least the RSI was a bullish divergence there coming into this next low after earnings. Based on the chart, I think it could be similar. You just see if we pop. This looks like a key level. Let's go back further. Yeah, I wonder if it gets downside, I could see this needing this spot here probably being a key retest. Let's see. And then yeah, it looks like we need to get back over. This looks like a key level right there. 155.80. Was there anything? Let's check out if there's anything specific there on the flow for that one. Let's jump over. Let's see. It's a good one that kind of similar. It's like it's not, we're not just getting blasted all day with activity on UPS. They reported already. Yeah. Let's see. Getting a bunch of dark pools in the high 150s. Yeah, wow, they've been hitting the high 150 area on the dark pools for a while now on UPS. These guys expired. Yeah, we definitely got to look at that CLSK too. This is interesting. Not really seeing, it's kind of like a reset the deck on UPS. There's not a lot of activity going out. Let's see, take a look at these. These aren't bad, but there's not a lot of money on them. March 150 calls on a UPS. Let's see. Anything else? Anything else? Not, yeah, a lot of this stuff, a lot of this flow already expired. I don't really see too much else. And this is, again, we've got the calendar going for the first couple of weeks of February. Let's see. Oops, I lost my date filter. But yeah, this will be an interesting one to see if they've got anything that comes through further dated. Let's see if there's anything on the multi-leg. So maybe some writing for March, but nothing really clean that jumps out as like a big. This looks pretty bearish. These little guys right in here. If those are connected. And then you had these guys, but they're expired. Huh. Yeah, we'll see if anything else interesting comes in on this one. But yeah, for no multi-leg, it looked like everything's kind of, the positioning is pretty much like a reset the deck type of thing over there. But yeah, CLSK, let's look at, because that thing was just getting lit up. I believe yesterday or Friday, which I missed. 30 calls for March. Wow, yeah, this is looking nice. I'm sure you guys were talking about these on Friday. What else? Oh no, we still want CLSK. Then we can jump into the chart, but this is definitely some good flow. Yeah, for sure, AJ. And then June 29s. What else alerted? The 30s, the 30s. March 20s. What else? These 18s. Just all blocks. Yeah, this is, let's see, cooled off a little bit back here. Kind of flipping bid ask, not really very clean on these. IV drop. Interesting. Let's take a look at that chart because those shorter dated. Wow. So we had, oh, this must have been, yeah, we had an inside month popped. So we got the alert back here at 1260. Made a 5 point up move. So there, that's, that's kind of why we're looking for inside bars. That was a nice little mover off that. Let's see what else we could have going on here. Nice move up on earnings, so they got that out of the way. I mean, yeah, this could become some kind of flag. You got, so here you got the CCI higher high, decent for momentum. What else? Let's see. Yeah, maybe some kind of pennant up there. You can take off the drawings. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see what happens with those March calls, but these 30s look really good. Just sweeping the whole way, contract price moving up. It's nice. That's a good eye over trade. LYV and Crocs. Let's take a look at those. I think was LYV on the scanner. Let's see. Let's check it out. Oh, they got earnings coming up the 22nd. No, that's a nice. This looks like a little flag break though, like a bull flag break there on the weekly. Yeah, it's a nice little pop on that. That kind of thing there. Nice pop. And again, this is kind of that lesson from Mel. Look at something that's consolidating, making a nice compression. Then it just becomes, if you're trading it with options, you got to pick your time frame. But that's a nice pop. And we've got the earnings coming up. Was there good flow on this one? Let's check out LYV. Another one that's pretty quiet in the flow. Nice dark pools there in this 88, 89. Yeah, this thing's been getting lit up with dark pools. Interesting, they were kind of loading in right before the big pop, too. Yeah, so if we pulled back, I'd be looking at this 53% average 30-day volume down to 89.10. Yeah, so these guys were just this whole area here getting all dark pool, dark pool. This would probably be my main focus if I was trying to trade LYV, would be all this dark pool. Watch for those to come in. I mean, because this is getting 10%, 17%, 34%. That would be kind of the focus. 53%. That would be what I would be looking for. I got a call coming in here. I'm gonna just take 1 second. I'll be right back. Oh, sorry about that, guys. All right, I'm back. All right, good stuff. So yeah, LYV, I'd be focusing on dark pools, and then Overtrade wanted to take a look at Crocs. Let's check that one out. Okay, so Crocs popped off earnings. Let's see. So now you got a daily inside bar. If you're trying to do a shorter term trade, you could be setting your alerts, here and here. If you just wanted to see, a break outside that inside bar, let's see. Be interested to see where this kind of pause came in on. So that's interesting. If you do high to low, that's you're right up against the 618. So the bears that sold this high are thinking, okay, maybe we're at the 618. We could get a pause. Let's see. If we do the full range on the daily, you only barely just crossed the midpoint. So you can see these guys that sold this top, once they got the 786, just about put in like a big head and shoulders type thing off this left shoulder, head, right shoulder. It's interesting. Yeah, so let's see, what was there good flow? Anything interesting on Crocs over here? Crocs is a good one because it doesn't get a ton, so it's like you can use this. Another one with some dark pools rolling in. 103.95. And that was back January 29th. So this spot right here with big line, it's interesting. Any good flow? Let's see. This is all expired. This expired 16th. Huh. Maybe some put writing. But they did that just before the earnings. Bold. Not a ton of other. Yeah, that expired. Huh. Yeah, the Crocs looks a little bit similar, like at least in the flow with UPS. We kind of got to reset the deck here and keep an eye on what that gets for flow. I mean, good earnings pop would be waiting to see, do we break that low? Could maybe get some momentum, and then got some room on these downside gaps. Be something I'd be looking at as well. But yeah, we'll see on that one. What else? Let's see. Any other tickers you guys are looking at? Any flow that caught anyone's eye? Mel, you want to jump in? Mel got some
Good
Nike.
morning.
Hey, Mel.
Hey, yeah, just kind of going through a few. I did get the dark pool list posted a little longer, but just always keep in mind Fridays when you have OpEx, you tend to have a lot more coming through. That dark pool list does tend to double. A few things that I noticed: medical devices was popping up quite a bit. REITs, we're seeing some of that. We've been talking about that space. Since I'm not as familiar in that area, getting a chance to kind of look through some of this stuff where we are seeing some of the larger dark pool activity has been pretty helpful. Let's see, what was MPW? Let me make sure it's that one. Yeah. Okay. So that's one of the healthcare facility REITs. They report this week. You've got some higher short interest in this name. I know this was taken down by a bigger short report like a few years ago or last year, 2 years. But just in case you start to see a little bit more interest, you've got 35% short, 588 million float. But this Nike, yeah, Nike looks like they're starting to get some interest coming in. Um, You've got plant that they came in end of day hitting with some flow. You had a dark pool there as well. However, they do have ER on the 22nd. So the ER this week, but this started to trickle in. And otherwise, quite a few of the consumer staple names. We were talking end of day about tap. We had something come into bud. Mike and I were both liking the setup on STZ, some of your brewers. You also had Brown Foreman, which is very rare, dark pool print there, BFB, but it is in that same space. Not as liquid, just kind of mentioning that because we've started to see some stuff trickle into some of the other more liquid brewers in that space. Cagney conference this week. So you got a larger dark pool print in GIS, a few of the others within that space. Not a like it's just going to be a tough week with what we have coming up. Would definitely keep maybe that space. You could usually get some pretty low IV contracts if they're looking just to, pop something up for a day trade or see what else we get in. WBA Walgreens. I don't really like that chart as I think CVS does look a lot better. You started to see some spec action into this week or next week, starting to come through some out of the monies. I didn't really see the story there. Well, one could be one to keep an eye on. What other themes? I think that was for the most part. It's for the most part what was there. Surprisingly, not as much tech. I think we had a lot of tech, larger prints all through the week last week, all of them getting hit Meta, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, and surprisingly, Apple with a 1 million share and some. It would add up to be probably at least 3 million, but otherwise not much in our big tech.
Wow, yeah. Interesting, these WBA, these big dark pool 2257. There's a lot of money sitting there from January 31st. Oh. Thanks, Mel. Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, I could see big tech needing its kind of pause and reset. Like Microsoft got that head and shoulders look to it. Apple doesn't really look great. I could see that being, kind of looking for these small caps, kind of like what you've been doing, looking for smaller tickers, some opportunities there. Let's see if we draw fibs on this. Look. Yeah, so Apple right around the midpoint of this last leg up. I mean, I could totally see tech needing a little breather, and we got to wait on Nvidia earnings. So interesting.
Some of the beverage names, Monster, Coca-Cola. I think there was maybe possibly a very small one in Pep. Um, you had some out of the money, some kind of squirrely stuff with Celsius. Even though Celsius has kind of made its move, it's definitely in that space been the leader because Monster just can't seem to make a move and hold it. So just in case we start to see more, there was a little odd stuff positioning out of the money. I think it was the 70s for Celsius. I kind of thought that was it's already been on quite a run, but just in case they continue to come into that, that one does have the higher short interest. So you could be getting people could be getting squeezed there.
Interesting. Yeah, this monster looks like a good one to set some alerts on if we gave out this level here. What of that? 5470 ish. Could you see a move? Celsius. Yeah, that's a good run on Celsius for sure. And then they got earnings coming up beginning of March.
Pull up that KO chart too. Look at that on a weekly, how tight that is. That's a little tighter consolidation there than you usually tend to see. That's kind of at a area of support. So I believe they are. I'm about to grab the link and post that into Discord for the CAGNY conference, and that will share the agenda. Um, so just a few in case we start to see some, XLP along with the XLRE were both sectors with larger repeat dark pool stuff coming in. Going back, you don't really see too much coming to that sector flow wise, XLP or XLRE. So I went back trying to see if there was anything there. Just something I'm kind of keeping in case we start to see some of those filter, and at least we know there's kind of been some existing stuff there. Not your biggest ATR movers for sure, but if there's some rotation and conference commentary that could provide a catalyst.
Nice. Yeah, I think we there was some other interesting little offshoot ETFs getting dark pool. So these the like IWN got some right. IWB, yeah, a lot of money into IWB.
Yeah, so with you there, a lot of the one-offs really seem to be primarily focused around small caps. Russell 3000, 2000, 1000, Russell Mid, Russell,
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of what was it? VB, I think it's Vanguard, um, Vanguard small cap. So you're still just seeing quite a bit there, and we have had days where the IWM has been able to hold some greens, while you've had some pullback. That's a little odd historically. That usually kind of all stays in sync, but a lot of these growth names coming up and reporting, and you can get some of those names to really get some monster moves.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I am not the kind of macro interest rate guy, but I know that that's been kind of a underlying theme, at least listening in on Fast Money, where they're talking about, you know, the the higher interest rate environment is not great for some of the, there's a big portion of the Russell that's not necessarily profitable just going based on the books, and staying in a higher interest rate environment is, just another hurdle that some of these small caps need to deal with. So I think, because everyone's kind of waiting, um, as like it kind of seems like interest rate cut probabilities continue to drift down. Um, I think that was kind of where, especially we're getting these big data points. The reaction this week to CPI, PPI, where we had kind of these spikes. So I think, as we get these big dark pools coming in on this Russell stuff, I think it's going to be important to kind of keep an eye on that. What else we have? But yeah, I mean, this seems like where the momentum was. It's like even on the sell off days, it was the quickest recovery, definitely quicker than big tech.
And I think it's kind of constructive. I like to work off the 50-day, that you did actually hold that test down there. And some of the other indices just have just ran so hard that they really haven't kind of went up, digest, move, went up, digest, move. But, holding some pullbacks there, at least getting some of the retest, trying to come back and fill some of those gaps. I know we've got that one down there that you've got highlighted, but otherwise has been able to be pretty constructive with trying to get some of that other gap fills in place to where you've just got quite a few on SPY IWM comparatively. So I've kind of been liking some of these names and catching some of those. And unfortunately, they're not the ones that are always talked about or that you're just as familiar with. So it does take kind of going through and figuring out what some of this stuff is, what sector are they, and what's kind of showing some strength.
Sure. Yeah, good stuff. I mean, yeah, let's see here. Let's kind of make these a little bit easier to see. Here's the 50-day. Is this that green line? Let's make this. And then the 200, we crossed that back in December. Interesting. This was kind of a cool one too for, we'll be talking about the 200 or the 50 on the daily. This is a a good trading view lesson where you can change the time frame. So say for example you're scalping, you're looking at a 30-minute chart or whatever, you can set your moving averages. So say if you wanted to keep it on the daily, and so you would always know where that 200 day, you can do change your inputs there. That was a helpful one I learned about.
Could you share that script because that is very helpful. I
Sure.
I know I think Sun shared one with me before. I never got it set up, and it's kind of got lost in the sauce. But that is especially with a lot of these that still haven't crossed above their 200. Like they're really kind of. I've seen multiple kind of struggle there, so it's definitely good to have that marked if you're kind of watching one that's still really below that 200 day and really hasn't proven itself yet. You're seeing a lot of stuff stall and kind of consolidate at those levels.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. That was one that I learned about on TradingView that you can do for a bunch of different indicators. So I'll drop this one, but yeah, the fact that you can kind of switch so that you're looking at the EMAs based on your time frame is helpful. Look at that one going here. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I'll drop that one here in the room. Yeah, what else? I appreciate you guys coming out and kind of joining. This be something I would like to try and make a regular thing. So if you guys have tickers, flow questions, indicators, chart setups, it'd be good to kind of cover all that here with you guys.
AMD does have an event. Let's hear on the 20th, Tuesday the 20th, AMD to present at Airy Investor event. Let me grab a screenshot and I'll get this posted in the Catalyst room.
Nice. Yeah, so AMD, this chart setup here would be this one. This is much clearer example of this ascending triangle type pattern. I haven't dropped that script in yet. I actually might need someone's a tip on that one on how to share the actual indicator. Let's see. Let's see. I can do like the. Let's see. Uh, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I got to go back and I'll put them in the room and I can put them in my room as well, so that way we can share them. I'll just take a minute after this. Um. Okay, so Mel will say, yeah, we'll look at Adobe, and then Mel was saying we've got something coming up, possible catalyst on AMD. So AMD, there was a day last week where I was kind of looking at the chart with this type of bull pennant setup here, and we popped this trend line. Now we're kind of retesting it here. I've got a key level, that 173 kind of round number area. You can see how important it's been, all these wicks. And then above, I'm going to be watching that 180.70. But you can see this is kind of starting to get this look to it because we were in an uptrend, and then this 180.7 is kind of like equal highs here. And then we've got this little trend line below. So this is a good example of this type of setup, this ascending triangle there. So we'll see if we get some continuation out of that setup there. All right, we wanted to take a look at Adobe. Yeah, sorry guys on the indicator sharing thing. It's like I good on some stuff on TradingView, some stuff I'm still learning. Let's see. That's interesting. What was this? Was there a catalyst on this Adobe? OpenAI video generation. That's interesting. P. Gupta. Wow. Okay, so OpenAI is doing their generative art. Adobe puts in this big, ugly cell candle. Two, I mean, this could get some serious momentum to the downside. They've got their earnings coming up. Hmm. Let's see. Was there any flow? Anything we need to be looking at on Adobe?
Stockington, it was and stayed pretty bearish. You started to see a few little lines coming in a day, and you did get a larger dark bull print. But I know Enki was looking at that one. We were looking at flow coming in Friday, and it just you really didn't see interest there to come in and buy the dip. So definitely want to keep on watch, see if they start to come in. But you really even earlier in the morning, you started to see some larger stuff, bearish positioning. Probably would want to verify open or yeah, OI on Monday because you did just have such a dramatic move. Like somebody coming in earlier, at let's say like nine, I'm Central Time, so 9 o'clock, and getting that kind of move could have just been trailing some of that off and locking some of that in. So worth checking if that's a name that's on your radar.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks like the big dark pools came in all the way back in November. Let's see. This spot, this 565 area, which is interesting. So here's November. Dark pools coming in of this 565 area. The pullback right to the dark pools, and now those guys just 20 points below potentially where those dark pools if they were buyers. This I'm looking at these right here. 560, 545. It's interesting. But yeah, I mean that chart looks like a no touch if you're a bull. I mean that is a serious 45-point down move in one day. Wow. I'll be careful with that thing. Anything else? Huh. All right. Anything? I will make sure I get these uh, scripts indicators shared out. Sun's got a room for them. Nice. All right. Sun's got his trading view and those scripts there. That's cool. Good stuff. All right. Um, well, I'm going to be in and out around today. I'll probably get some more charts and things going in the room. I appreciate you guys coming to join and listen in. We did get a recording going, so we can kind of share that out for anyone that wants to go back and look at anything, and then get the indicators out. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. Try and make this a regular thing.